Hello dear viewer, I'm leesusss and welcome back to Hydroneer. Just checking the stock prices over at the market and oh, sorry, my mouse. Working in a cramped space again, which is frustrating. I should really spread my desk out more. Anyway, an update on the factory over here. As you can see, quite a lot has been done. Where do we start with this? Okay, so first of all, this is not really changed. I think I moved this across very slightly. But otherwise, the Hydroneer is pretty much in the same space as before and doing things the same way it always has. Oh, I must fill that hole in, really. What I've done here, mostly what I've done really is I've just done the outside. So the contents, the way that it processes things, is pretty much the same as it always has been. But I think you could see what I was going for here, using the house pieces. I'm going for like a typical sort of like a Tudor cottagey type industry here without going too high tech. These are the sort of building parts you can put in here. As you can also see, it is not finished. What is that there? That's very weird with that texture's doing that there. Anyway, so playing around with the building pieces and discovering how they work and how they don't work. One of the pieces around here, so you notice how there's gaps. What I really wanted to do was to complete this and to show you a completed factory. There's two limitations to this. First of all is the scope of my ambitions, because I've gone a bit too big here. But I could still do that. I could still build this, even though I've gone for quite a big build here. It was originally going to be taller than this, but I didn't really need to. So that's okay necessarily. But each of these individual pieces, it becomes a bit of a chore loading these into the truck and then carrying them back from the shop. So even if as I said, I planned to put the factory over at the other position over that way, it would still be quite painful to some degree. Secondly, there's a bit of an issue with some of the pieces. So for example, the reason why there's a gap here is because these roof pieces here. Just to prove me wrong, now you want to fit. I have been struggling to make those fit for the longest time. So, for example, they would fit over here. Oh, okay, we're back again. We're okay, and then we're not okay. We're not okay, we are okay. It's really finicky. And I tried so many times and I gave up on trying to make it work. And it just comes and goes. It's to do with... Okay, imagine this is a square here, you know. And as I rotate it around... You can see how... Actually, it's better if it goes around there. You can see how it's working around the edges here. Yeah? Is it on the left-hand side of this imaginary square here, or on the right-hand side of this imaginary square here? Yeah? And that's the sort of thing that causes the problems. It's got a real problem trying to make these work. So at least that's working. I feel a bit better about that. That's nice. But I've spent so long trying to make it work and I couldn't. Also, this little triangle piece doesn't exist. So someone needs to invent that. But otherwise, it's not been too bad. It's a little bit painful. Had some issues over here. Originally, I had a piece in here. Like another piece on this side. And although it wouldn't look like it clashed, piece of dirt coming up here would clash with it and gather and cause problems. And that is generally where I still see the most problems with the machines. If you look on Reddit and things like that, you'll see about spill rates. People talk about what sort of level of spill rates do you get on machines. And where it goes wrong typically is... First of all, if you've got a process running and the filters go wrong, then this stops this working and the dirt begins to gather up the top, and that can cause some problems. So if you can, my advice is, if you can connect all of your machines to a single water feed and then have all of your filter requiring machines, like the harvester and some of all the drills, running off one set of filters, it will save you some pain. Simply because when something goes wrong, you've got one switch to hit and the whole process stops. As it currently is now, what I'm often doing is, as I'm running like loading dirt onto the system here, I'm listening all the time. I'm usually close enough that if I hear a noise change, such for example, I start hearing thumps because dirt is falling off, or if I hear a lack of noise from the grinder, I know that something's gonna miss, and I run in here and I turn all the switches off. But by that time, dirt will have gathered, various things will have gone wrong, little bits of dirt like this, see, will have collected in various places, and you will have a, there's another one over here, see, you will have a problem, and it will start to fail. But sometimes, for no apparent reason, some of them just will fail. They won't work for some reason. A little piece won't come off. I'm surprised they didn't join together. Normally they would join together. And you get problems elsewhere. You get bits of dirt collected in here that cause problems. And all sorts of things. So the system does fail occasionally. I'm not really sure why. Anyway, we'll run this in a minute. I haven't got any dirt in this, but we'll do a little run in there in a minute. But that was the purpose. I've nearly got it completed now, as far as that goes. Now this bit over here is new. So at one point I was going to do a comparison. I was decided probably not to do now, but I was thinking about something I mentioned the other episode, which was quite a long time ago for me, about the efficiency of dirt collecting with this thing here. And I think the best way to consider this machine is not an efficient way to get lots of dirt for lots of wealth. If you consider the pickaxe and the shovel, the way the two things work, because I don't think I've talked about the pickaxe particularly before, is that the shovel just picks up dirt and then you put it into a machine, or you put it into a bucket, or you do something with it to get the thing out. The pickaxe, the only purpose of the pickaxe is to clear dirt. Okay? So, use a pickaxe and a piece of dirt. Let's find a good one over here. I think you can split big chunks of dirt with it as well, but essentially what it's used to do is make dirt go away. You don't get it back again. Okay? So if you're looking for those precious artifacts, you know, and you don't mind losing the dirt, that's a good way to do it. I think you should consider this machine the same way, as a more efficient pickaxe. You want to clear a lot of dirt out of the way, and you want to do it to try and find the artifacts and things like that. Is there room in this rack? No. What are you digging? There we go. Random bit of dirt dug out there. Through the wall. Consider this machine like that. It's for clearing dirt and then getting a bit of a return on your investment, rather than just clearing it using the pickaxe. Okay? But still, this is not as good as simply shoveling it up. Now, the other week, one of the viewers, Kong Rufus, very kindly said, I was using the drills. I was complaining in Disappointing Drills, the episode Disappointing Drills, about how the drills worked. And they're not working properly. I wasn't quite using them properly. And in fact, they're a lot better for a particular purpose than you might realise. So these are 2 ram drills. And I was particularly snotty about these because they only take dirt from the surface, and therefore you don't get much. You don't get the really valuable dirt from down here. But the thing is, they do it repeatedly. What I mean is, let's get this running over here. Let's turn the whole machine on. This runs the conveyor belts, and the grinder's up here. This one, don't need to use that one. That runs the water feed and the conveyor belts for that one, so we don't need that. All we need is this one. Oh, and immediately we've got a problem. Ah, well, there's obviously where I left the last episode. I need to go and get some repair tools. I've run out of repair tools. Give me one. There you go, let's fix that. Let's get back to Kong Rufus schooling me in the art of drills. So, let's turn this on over here. I'm going to turn the 2 drills on because everything resets when you turn the game off. Don't stand on the conveyor belt on me. There we go. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Off they go, and they start producing little clumps of dirt. So, to make these work, you have to make sure you have a clump of dirt underneath them. And then off they go, and they start producing dirt, and it goes into the machine and does whatever. Now, the thing is though, comparing these with, for example, the Goliath drills, especially when you've got a couple of, you've got a little booster on there, or more of these, one of these running away, they move quite quickly, they work quite quickly, and they don't stop. The dirt they're producing there does not go away. So they will run, they may only be running surface dirt, but they don't stop doing it, ever. Unless, of course, the filters run out and you have to repair those or whatever. So there's a continuous flow of material coming in here. Compare that, for example, for the Goliath drills running, and if I was to put some of these in a similar setup, they're over here, aren't they? I can't remember what I left with them. There they go. I set them up, say, down here somewhere. I could do a similar setup. with the high quality muck down the bottom there running away, they slowly use up the dirt. So although I'm getting more material out of each pile of dirt, I'm fairly confident that the dirt these things are turning out, because of their reproducibility, is probably better value than anything else I'm doing. Whether I'm doing it through this or I'm doing it through Goliath drills. So this is in fact a very, very efficient way to produce material. So in fact what I've been doing a lot of the time is when I've been building this and doing whatever with it, I haven't been running this thing, I've been running these outside, constantly producing small clumps of dirt at a regular good rate. Now I could easily add a few, these are like 300 quid, these ones here, add 2 or 3 more of these, and they will produce lots of money for me to continue my building projects. Okay, let's just turn these off for now. Turn the drills off first, because this continues to run. Up here, there we go, still going, working its way through pretty efficiently. Little clumps of dirt in there maybe? Yeah, a few in there. And that can cause problems later. Because a few bigger pieces falling in there will... there's one there. In fact, there we go, there's a bigger piece in there. Will not necessarily get processed. Look at that, there's a big piece there, look. Did you hear any thumping there? I think I heard little thumps, and it's these little bits of dirt hitting the floor. There we go, they've all fallen down the back. At some point I've had a spill at another point. And this is the sort of stuff that gathers, and when I'm talking about the spill rates... Get off of there, me. This is what I'm talking about. I didn't even know that was there. Look at all this mess over here. It needs a bit of a clear up. Now, again, if you're going to talk real world stuff, you could say, well, you know, in a real world you would get stuff like that. You'd sweep it out, or you'd vacuum it up, or do something, or you'd hose it out, so maybe. Like a hose cleaning system would be kind of good. And you'd clear it up. Fair enough, yeah, sure. You could do that, that would be good. But it is a little frustrating when it comes to doing, if you want to have a lot of automation or anything like that. It simply won't work, okay? At some point the machine falls down. Yeah, and this is stuff falling down from previous bigger problems I've had. You have to run a bit of maintenance on your machine. Now maybe this is something that the creator could fix at a later date, you know, and they enable you to do things like, so the magnet, I don't know, oh dear, have a pressure washer or something. I haven't nailed this one down. Have a pressure washer or something to help clear the dirt out. Go from there. Anyway, let's turn this off. And then there we go. What sort of level of dirt, good stuff rather, did we get come out of here? And did I show you my production area loss? I don't think I did I? Okay, let's have a little look at this on the scales. 600, very good for the small amount of work I did there, and I'd usually be running that for a lot longer to get that. Just on cheap, low quality dirt, and of course you've got to bear in mind again what I said before, dirt that never ever runs out. In theory, if you play this for long enough, wow, that's a good set of iron there, you could, not on there, fool, look at this side. You could use up a lot of the dirt that's easily available in areas like this. Although the other areas you can dig out are much bigger, you could dig them out quite easily with this big machine there, and end up with very little dirt left at the end. Just a little one, just a little tiny one, because we don't get many shards from the surface dirt. There we go. But you will, as long as you've got a little bit of dirt left, you will always have more dirt to process using a run of those drills over there. Good, huh? That was the explanation for the high value of that chunk of iron. It wasn't actually that high value. What had happened, occasionally things end up resting, that's more like it, resting near the scales, and even though they're not on the scales, they get picked up by it. Anyway, good selection of gems there as well. So there you go, so this is how I've been running things through, and here's where the gems get processed as well. Now, I did try various ways of streamlining this. So when you run a lot of dirt through here, you get a lot of gem fragments, or the uncut gems. And it can be rather frustrating trying to process them all. It's hard. It's a hard thing to speed up. But I did try to do it. So for example, right now you'll find if you do a lot of this, as you're trying to pick things up, like try to pick up a gem like that, especially when you've got a lot in there, you'll accidentally pick up the container instead. Which is because you can't fix this container down. This scales, it's fixed down, I can't pick it up. This I can't pick up, this I can't pick up. Yeah, but the bowl you can. So one of the ideas was, what if I pour out the gems? What if I try and pour out these gems now? A few of them just fall on the floor and then start to wriggle around strangely. But a larger quantity like this, they'll go everywhere, right? So I thought maybe I could pour them through a funnel. So I had a funnel in here for a while, one of these funnels here, and I tried to pour them into the funnel. If anything, it's kind of funny, I should have recorded it. It made it worse. They went blooming everywhere, okay? So I can't find an easy way of pouring these out that makes them accessible. Possibly, if I design this better, a pit in the floor would be better, because then you could fix down the floor pieces and they wouldn't fall through. But currently, there's not a good way of getting them out of this without occasionally, by accident, picking up the container they're in. So currently, you pick them up out of here, process them, and then you weigh them. And this is about as fast as you can get. That's a pretty good one. That's a 14. Okay, it's about as fast as I can run this process. Now get back up on there. So one other way of doing it was, you can see the massive pile of gems I've got here. Some of them are really big ones. Turning these into rings can be rather onerous after a while. So I set up a new rule for myself, which is that every time I cut a gem, if I weigh it, if it weighs 10 or less, or it's got a value of 10 or less rather, just gets sold collectively with all the other gems, okay? I cannot be bothered to make that many rings and sit there, because this is the slowest part of the process, is making things over here. So what I do is only gems that are worth more than 10 get turned into rings or pendants or anything like that, okay? And this is my little work area here, so quite easily I could look up on the stock list one day and go, okay, today rings and swords looks like a good option. Count how many gems I've got here, make that many rings or pendants, and then ship them all off. Okay, is the idea, the purpose. And again, the same thing for the swords here, and therefore processing the items through here. And it's actually a lot of stuff. Some of these, I think one of these bars is like 4,500. There's a lot of materials here, but in fact, after a while you get to the point where I've got a lot of money. I really do have a lot of money sitting in shops and different places like that, like a tab. This is actually the most onerous part of the most boring part of the process now. Finding new artifacts and digging around is more fun than, and pouring out what we've got here and making these factories is more fun than the actual processing at the end. It's just like a means to an end at the end, really. I don't really have the urge to process these anymore, not by the manual process that I have to use. I've sort of had enough of that bit, and I can't. Maybe like a big trip hammer with an automated, like a big water-powered hammer would be good to hammer out the things and then turn them into axes or whatever else would be kind of fun. But right now, I just want to sell these things lump sum and not even care about it. That's the sort of point I'm at. Anyway, but before I got onto that, one of the last things I proposed for myself was, okay, I'm working over here, making rings, making swords. How do I easily get these things to market? Because currently it's quite slow. And if you make some rings, okay, a ring will fit quite easily into a bucket like here. So for example, I will take, who knows how much this is worth? Does it really matter? Not really. I will take a big chunk of gold like this. I'll find another nice juicy gem. Or that one there. In fact, I don't do the gems first. I tend to have a couple on the run, so what I'll do is I'll put that one out to there. I'll put a new gold bar into there, and I'll gold ingot into there. I'll put the gem on top. I'll get the hammer. Bosh. Ring. Okay, and the biggest rings aren't really that big, but they all fit easily into one of these baskets here. So I'll make a whole load like that and carry this off and sell it in one big chunk. And the same thing, I can sell this. But everything else, swords and daggers and pendants, are just too big, really, to easily carry away. So my thought was, what we're getting to out here, you might have wondered why I'd put this here. So the idea was I would have this thing parked here. In fact, I have a dedicated hydro truck just to this out of a refill station, filling up the water on top, much like I've got one for the big digger over there, and a conveyor belt. So I would go bish bash bosh, make item onto a conveyor belt, which would then dump it into the back of here. I would then drive that away to market, and it isn't too bad. You get it away to market. You still have to do a bit of carrying, so let's see if this even works, because this thing can be rather finicky. Even so, up we go. If I've got 2 markets to go to, please don't bump into anything. It's a little bit tight, but I've done this quite a few times and not had a problem. I will squeeze this up here. It's easier than carrying them up here, and then more easily I will unload my swords and my rings, drop them off here, come back, do a bit of hairy reversing back down the slope again, but again it's not terribly bad. Come on me, don't do a make a mess. And in fact what you can do is you can either reverse down here to the jewel market down this way and then drop off your gems. Oh, that's not going to work, that's far too hairy. Oh well. Big box of gems, run off and drop it over here. Here you can see where you can just sell off your bars and your gems on the stocks. Everything else, fishies as well. Drop them off here. Back to here, and then maneuver the hydro truck, hopefully, back onto the spot over here. And this thing's a bit more maneuverable than the hydro miner, he says, and then reverse it onto here. What I really need though is a few more. Look at that nice tight turn in comparison. Come on me, you can do it. Oh, it's nearly going to work. A few more of these big wooden platforms here over here to make it easier to reverse back onto there, and so process it like that. But I run into the greatest problem of all, which is that I run out of oomph. The urge to do this. See, the stairs are in the way here. So the accumulation of problems, such as messing around with the roof and manually carrying the bits around and then doing these bits here, I've finally had enough of the game, I think, for a while. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been really good, and thank you certainly to all of you who have made comments, particularly Carl for the comment about how to use this properly. And I can see a lot more things I can do now. But I think I want some updates before I do any more on this game. And I also couldn't imagine restarting this and doing it again. This is a lot of hours, a lot of work here to put this together. So even with foresight and coming back to the game and starting again, it's a lot of work to get this sort of thing done from here. And I think probably if I revisited, I wouldn't try and build all this. I'm not usually one for cosmetics. You know, I would just build a basic factory. And I would like to see the other artifacts, but I'm sort of at the point where, you know, I'm good. I'm good with it. I'll probably come back to it at some point in the future. But there you go. So if you fancy an imperfect system with automation where things go wrong and you have to constantly step up and fix bits and there's the occasional problems, this is a great, oh, a little lag there. This is a great game for it. And probably I think multiplayer would be better, possibly. Maybe even VR. I'm talking about VR with Rampage today as well. And it's okay for that. It needs a few things solved, like the issues with this thing bouncing around like it's made of styrofoam, and this, and funny little gaps where you can't fill bits in, and then that makes these things bounce even more. But overall, it's a good game, especially for a single developer. If you like this sort of thing, definitely pick it up. Have some fun with it. Don't listen to my whinging too much. Go and find those other artifacts. And if I see some significant updates, I'll come back to this, and maybe we'll do another session of running through this. I didn't even cover stuff like fishing. You know, look, if you're bored, we're doing a bit of mining. Is there a fishy in here? There was a fishy in here. Have I lost him? I think he fell out. Hello, fishy. There he is. You can do fishing as well. And I caught a boot as well. I caught a boot. And you can use a fishing rod to do some fishing. And I'm sure there's many other fun things you can do with this game. Come on, give me a fish. Whoa, look at the size of that one! And display your fishes on the little pedestal, little plaques inside your house. There we go. That's it for me now. Though, I hope you enjoyed Hydrominer, but I'll be back soon with something new. Not just the old dusty old bits games, but something new as well. And not something new. A new series, not necessarily a new game. We'll see. But if you enjoyed this, thanks for coming by. Send me a comment if you want to. You are most welcome to. I always answer pretty much every comment everyone ever sends me. And take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you again next time.